When the historic ice storm hit Texas in January 2024, collapsing the power grid, Dr. Catherine Beaumont and her team in the ICU at Dallas Memorial Hospital thought it was just a temporary outage. But as temperatures plummeted to minus 15 degrees Celsius and hospital generators began failing one by one, the life support machines for 47 ICU patients started falling silent. "We're losing everyone," head nurse Linda Muller shouted desperately into her radio, her breath steaming in the freezing air. But Catherine was already moving, applying manual ventilation techniques among the patients. This kind of equipment failure wasn't new to her. Over the next 72 hours in the frozen hospital, all of Texas would discover who Catherine Beaumont truly was. Some wear doctors' uniforms but carry the experience of battlefield medicine. Welcome to Hidden Legends. Before we dive into this incredible Cold War story, drop a comment with the city you're watching from today and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like the video to help us reach more viewers. Dr. Catherine Beaumont, a 5-year-old ICU specialist, had been at Dallas Memorial for 8 years. Her long blonde hair was always tied in a professional bun, her blue eyes both compassionate and resolute. She specialized in critical patient care, heart failure, respiratory issues, trauma cases. "Dr. Beaumont is the heart of our ICU," said head nurse Linda Muller. "Working with her, we know even the most critical situations are handled with precision." But Catherine's calm and crisis management skills didn't come from a typical ICU doctor's path. Colleagues marveled at her response to emergencies. "Dr. Beaumont, how do you stay so organized under such stress?" they'd ask. "Experience," she'd reply quietly. "Every situation needs a systematic assessment and precise action." That experience, a 10-year career as an Army combat medic, practicing field medicine in Afghanistan and Iraq, performing life-saving operations in combat zones without electricity. Catherine's story began 17 years ago when she joined the Army at 18. Growing up in a small Texas town, she'd always been drawn to medicine and service emergency care. Trauma response, protecting others. "I want to excel in both medicine and protection," she told the Army recruiter. After basic training, she went through combat medic school and advanced battlefield medical training, where her exceptional performance caught the eye of Special Forces medical support. Being a combat medic was the toughest medical training field medicine, treating wounded soldiers, performing interventions without power, even surgery under fire. Catherine learned to save lives in the harshest conditions. Over her 10 years of active duty, she served in war zones in Afghanistan and Iraq, supporting special forces, providing field medical aid, and delivering combat zone health care. Her expertise lay in maximizing life-saving with minimal resources. Her critical assignments included frontline medical operations, treating wounded soldiers without electricity, and manual life-saving interventions. She completed 89 confirmed successful medical operations. Her Army training was unique battlefield medicine without power, manual life support systems, techniques not taught in civilian hospitals. "A combat medic must be a complete medical warrior," said her training instructor, Sergeant Rousseau. "Medic, protector, lifesaver, integrating medical care with survival." Catherine lived this philosophy. Surgery in bombed-out hospitals, manual ventilation during power outages, patient care in freezing conditions. She developed solutions for every scenario. Her most critical training involved medical interventions without electricity, precise care in dark environments, manual life support, monitoring without batteries. She could perform field assessments even in civilian hospitals. During an operation in Helmand, she treated 12 wounded soldiers simultaneously at an outpost with no power, successfully managing 7 critical cases. That mission made her one of the Army's top battlefield medical specialists. She received specialized training for extreme weather, freezing cold, scorching heat, precise care without electricity. This would prove vital during the Texas ice storm. After a decade of active duty, Catherine transitioned to civilian life. War deployment fatigue and a desire for normalcy led her to ICU specialization, a natural fit for her skills in critical patient care, life support, and emergency intervention. She was overqualified in medical school, her battlefield training in trauma assessment and interventions without power giving her a unique edge. "I've always wanted to work in critical care," she said, helping patients in both tech-supported and manual environments. The ICU felt familiar, quick decisions, life or death stakes, precise timing. but in a peaceful, tech-supported setting. When Dallas Memorial hired her, Catherine was an exceptional ICU specialist, excelling in critical care and manual interventions, though no one knew her battlefield background. On Monday, the 15th of January, 2024, Catherine was performing her usual ICU duties, monitoring life support, managing medications, routine care. At 9:30 a.m., she checked on a 1-year-old heart failure patient, noting stable progress. "Dr. Beaumont, patient 12 is doing well today," said her colleague, Dr. Jansen, in a professional tone. "Good to hear. Critical patients deserve quality care," Catherine replied warmly. But she was also tracking weather reports. An Arctic blast was approaching Texas, with warnings about power infrastructure and hospital protocols. The Weather Service's alerts were dire: a historic cold wave, power grids at risk, hospitals needing to prepare. At 6:45 p.m., the hospital's power system kicked in. All units, Arctic blast hitting the grid, backup generators online, critical systems protected, came the announcement. Emergency protocols began power backup procedures, a shift from routine cold weather precautions to crisis mode. "Dr. Beaumont, the grid's collapsing. Generators are on, but it's critical," said Linda Mueller. Catherine nodded, but inwardly, she was concerned. Her Army years taught her generators could be unreliable in extreme weather. The hospital speaker soon confirmed her fears. "Main grid down. Temperature dropping to minus 15 degrees Celsius. Critical patients at risk. Generator fuel limited." Looking out the window, Catherine knew Texas's electrical systems weren't built for this cold. Generator fuel would last 48 to 72 hours at most. Then what? The flickering ICU monitors underscored the gravity. Other staff followed routine procedures, but Catherine saw the bigger picture. The generators were burning fuel too fast in the extreme cold. When the fuel ran out, life support machines would stop. She calculated 47 critical patients, all machine dependent. Fuel would last 2 days, maybe less, and the storm raged on. Something shifted in her. She wasn't just an ICU doctor anymore. Her battlefield instincts kicked in. Survival mode. Leaving the ICU, she met technical staff member Michael Thorne, a middle-aged electrical technician, in the corridor. "Dr. Beaumont, stay in the ICU. The electrical situation's dangerous," he said anxiously. "I'm an ICU doctor. Critical patients may need manual intervention," Catherine replied. "The generators will run out of fuel. Systems could shut down," Michael warned. Spotting the emergency flashlight on his belt, Catherine visualized the hospital layout. "Michael, I need to reach those patients," she said firmly. "What? You're an ICU doctor?" "I'm also a former Army combat medic," she said calmly. "I served in Afghanistan and Iraq, treating patients without power, performing surgery in freezing conditions. I can help." Michael was stunned. He hadn't imagined this composed doctor had a military past. "If you have that experience, we need someone like you," he said. By 9:30 p.m., generators began failing. Fuel was depleting. Backup systems collapsing. The ICU's 47 patients faced silent life support machines. Catherine entered the ICU, manual medical bag in one hand, flashlight in the other. The corridors were pitch black, all electrical systems down, even emergency lights out. The temperature dropped rapidly. Visualizing the hospital layout, she assessed 47 critical patients, no working machines, hypothermia risk at minus 15 degrees Celsius. Her combat medic training took over medical and survival instincts in sync. In the ICU, most life support machines were off. Patient 7's heart monitor was dead. Patient 12's breathing machine had stopped. Patient 23 showed hypothermia symptoms. Catherine moved with calculated precision from her battlefield training, prioritizing patient protection. First patient, manual CPR, a battlefield technique to sustain life without power. Second patient, manual ventilation from Army training, restoring respiratory support. Third patient, hypothermia control, manual warming techniques. For 72 hours, Catherine kept all 47 patients alive in the frozen ICU. "Stay calm. I'm helping you. Everything's under control," she said, moving among them. By the second day, the hospital was an icebox, windows frosted, corridors like skating rinks. But Catherine had set up a temperature protection system in the ICU, wrapping patients in blankets, using body temperature techniques, and monitoring manually with combat medic protocols. Dr. Beaumont, how are you doing this? Asked Linda, shivering. I learned it in the Army, Catherine replied, checking a patient's pulse. Patient care in extreme conditions. On the third day, fuel was gone, the hospital powerless. Yet Catherine kept all 47 patients alive. Manual ventilation, CPR, medication calculations, vital monitoring, the full scope of a combat medic's skills. When power returned at the end of the third day, staff found Catherine managing all 47 patients simultaneously. All were stable, vitals normal, under her manual care. Incredible, said hospital director Dr. Wilhelm. Are you a doctor or a medical specialist? Catherine paused. Former Army combat medic, Special Forces support, over 89 successful battlefield operations. Now an ICU specialist, she said quietly. Silence fell over the staff. Their beloved ICU doctor was an elite Army medical specialist. You were a battlefield medic? Asked Dr. Jansen, amazed. 10 years active duty battlefield medicine, care without power, extreme conditions. Emergency teams praised her manual interventions for saving lives. Patients learned of her heroism. Patient 7, Mr. Wilkins, was emotional. Doctor Beaumont, I didn't know you were in the Army, but I always felt your strength. I'm still your doctor, Mr. Wilkins, here for you, she replied. Families expressed gratitude. Doctor, Beaumont saved our loved ones. Catherine resumed her ICU duties, but colleagues saw her with new respect and admiration. How do you go from Army to ICU? Asked young Dr. Johanna. Both are about protecting lives, different settings, same mission, Catherine said. Her story isn't just about heroism. It's about the protective spirit, applying combat medic skills to ICU care, from battlefield operations to compassionate treatment, always serving. So, do you know Army combat medic veterans quietly serving in your hospital? Those with hidden battlefield backgrounds contributing silently? Share your stories in the comments. At Hidden Legends, we believe the greatest protectors shine in critical moments. If this moved you, share it, subscribe, and help these veteran medical stories spread. See you in the next legend. And remember, the next ICU doctor or nurse you meet might have an Army combat medic past. True heroes adapt their service, but their protective spirit endures.